What is going on, everybody? Jake Senholz with you for Flurry Sports. Kind of diving into a new adventure here, bringing back Monday streams, but instead of recapping fantasy football and talking about the upcoming game, just the overall weekend of football, which we might still do. I wanted to kind of go to a gambling stream here. We have gambling streams on Fridays talking about the lines that everybody's been looking at all week long, and you're making your final decisions. What are my actual plays going to be this weekend? What do I like? What do I not? What are my long shots going to be? What props? All that stuff we're going to talk about in depth on Friday. But I wanted to start kind of maybe looking at early week lines because there's opportunities for you to make money on Monday that maybe you can't make on Friday or Saturday. Example being just this past weekend, we told you that we loved that, or I tweeted out at least, and on Friday I said I like the Minnesota Vikings, but they opened early lines. I got them early on, I think Monday or Tuesday last week. I liked the Vikings a lot going into the game. Didn't need to wait until and see how that week played out. So I was able to hop on the Vikings at -2.5. They ended up closing at -4. I covered my 2.5. Those who hopped on it late at -4 or even -3.5, they weren't able to cover. Another example from this past weekend, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, you would have covered either way, but the Cardinals opened up getting 1.5. They actually closed as 1-point favorites. So that's kind of going to be the whole point of this stream, is to kind of look at early lines and be able to take advantage of the lines early on, lines that we think are going to move significantly, or lines that maybe the number doesn't move so much, but it goes from a -110 to a -118, -120, those kind of plays. So we're just looking to help you take advantage of sharper picks, earlier lines, and try and beat those bookies. And speaking of bookies, this stream is brought to you by our friends both at Bet Online and BetMGM. Bet Online, for those of you who are not in legal states, they have an incredible opportunity for you, especially those of you who use crypto. You can find out more by either going on flurrysports.org and just searching Bet Online. There's going to be a bunch of promo opportunities for you that pop up, or you could just follow the link in this description over on YouTube. I'm not sure if the description is there on Facebook or Twitter, to be completely honest, but it's definitely over on YouTube. So take advantage of that. And then the BetMGM lines are the official lines that we're going to be going off of every week. So yeah, that's going to be the whole point of these Monday streams. Just trying to get you to think about some early lines and to not be afraid to really lock in those bets early on lines that are probably going to move out of your favor, depending on which side of the game that you're on. These streams could end up being 10 minutes. They could be 45 minutes, depending on the week, depending on your guys' interaction. Feel free to throw anything you want in the chat. I see my good buddy Luke Reimer has joined. Luke is always dependable to hop in these streams. But for those of you who may be joining other that don't work for our website, throw it in the chat. Anything that you're wondering, anything that you want to chat about. If you are on the opposite side of a game as me, if you want me to spend more time specifically on a game. But again, these are not going to be super in-depth streams and well thought out, bring your stats, all your reasons and everything. That's going to be reserved for the Friday gambling streams, which are going nowhere. These are just going to be opening kind of free-flowing thoughts on certain lines as we work through the slate. So Luke says he thinks he loves Washington +2.5 at home against Tennessee. Again, I have no real formulated thoughts on these lines yet because they're opening lines, and that's kind of the whole point of this stream. So let's take a look here. I mean, the Commanders, I did bet on the Commanders to cover the 3 points against the Cowboys. I honestly do have them in the bottom at least 3 teams in the NFL right now. I mean, they played the Eagles, who are very, very good, and they lost 24-8, but they lost to the Lions, barely beat the Jags in week 1, lost to the Cowboys, which apparently Cooper Rush is good. Apparently. I don't know. The Titans coming off a pretty big win and cover against the Colts. I don't know. I mean, 2.5, I don't love. I certainly don't love. Not even getting a full field goal. And having to back the Commanders. Commanders are just very bad right now, and probably will be all season. All things indicated. When was the last time you think Jacksonville was 7.5-point favorites? Maybe never. Yeah, let's look at that game because the Jags are like I was scrolling through late last night. There's 3 games that I really like that I was going to point out that I think are not necessarily lines that are going to move dramatically, but they're games that I'm probably going to end up betting this weekend anyhow. And the Jags are definitely one of them. The Jags, obviously, 5 turnovers. They played in very tough conditions. They still only lost to the Eagles by 8 points. They hopped out to that 14-point lead, but they proved to me that they are better than I was giving them credit for. I was on the Eagles to cover, and I was correct by a 1.5. But if it wasn't for that 5 turnovers, if say even 2 of those turnovers don't happen, maybe the Eagles don't cover. I like the Jags. I like the Jags to cover the 7.5. And I would love it if this would come down to an even 7. Maybe you buy the half point here. But the Texans are, they're the Texans. They have not been scoring very many points. The Chargers, yeah, I like the 7.5. I like them covering the 7.5. I think that the Texans can easily lose to any team in the NFL right now by 8 points or more, but I would maybe consider buying that half a point. Let me look and see what the cost would be on BetMGM right now to buy that half a point. But while I'm looking at that, I will just say that Trevor Lawrence, I think, is good. He's going to be good, but he's got almost 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. 4 fumbles is tough. 4 fumbles is tough. All right, so bringing up the game here, we're at 7.5, and often early with these lines, they only have like the main line prices out. Yeah, I guess actually, all right, looking on BetMGM here, they actually have it at an even 7, so perfect. I had all my notes just kind of written down here on my phone. It was at 7.5 last night. It's already moved to 7. So there we have it. A line that moved in our favor. Now, if you're a big time Texans bettor, if you wanted to be on the side of the Texans, you already missed out on an opportunity at a half point in your favor. But the Jags at an even 7, I like, and it's at minus 115 on BetMGM. So I probably wouldn't buy down to 6. That's just going to cost you too much. I think the Jags can definitely take care of business against the Texans. And look, Trevor Lawrence did not have a very good week. James Robinson, who was the number 4 scoring fantasy back coming into the week, did not have a good week, had like 3.9 points or something like that. 2.9 points, have it written down here for my fantasy disappointing players of the week article. That's going to be up on flurrysports.org here sometime shortly. But yeah, again, not to linger. I like the Jags. I liked it initially. I especially like it at 7. I don't think it's going to come down any further than 7. I would be surprised if enough money comes in on the Texans to move it below 7. So I don't think that you're going to have to worry about too much movement, but it could move in the reverse direction and could go back to that 7.5 land. So yeah, Luke says he thinks they win the game by 10 plus. I would agree. I think they at least win the game by 8-10, somewhere in that neighborhood. Their offense has looked, very good, which the Texans really hasn't. And the Jays get to be at home, I think, after being on the road, after a couple long road trips the last couple of weeks. Yeah, they had to play at the Chargers and at the Eagles. So I think they come home, definitely take care of business against the Texans. I like that line a lot. If you do as well, that's one that I would recommend. If you wait till Sunday, you might have to lay the 7.5 or even 8 if the public ends up falling in love with the Jags, which very well could happen. Packers hosting the Giants in London. I'm having a hard time because I've said twice now in the past 3 weeks that, the Packers did not cover games they should have covered, and then I was done betting on them against the spread. The Giants, I think the Packers have to. Hopefully, Aaron Rodgers wants to put on a show, but I think the Packers have to score in droves and score in a big way at some point here soon. Yeah, they put up 27 against the Bears. Yeah, you put up 27 against the Patriots, but still not their best offensive performance. Is still not what I think they're capable of. And the defense will definitely play better against the Giants, or I hope they will, than they ended up playing against the Patriots. I don't love the Packers to cover the 8. I probably won't bet on it personally. And I don't really know why that line would move significantly. That's a pretty big line, but the Packers have been almost double-digit favorites multiple times this year, and they've only covered it one time, and that was in primetime against the Bears. Don't really definitely not in love with the Packers line. Nothing real special there. But the next game on the slate, we got the Lions taking on the Patriots. I like the Lions a lot here. I think that this line actually, if you're on the Lions, it's a gamble. It could go either way. I think I could see people backing the Lions. Look, they've scored so many points. The Patriots obviously put together a good game plan against Aaron Rodgers and against Green Bay. Are they able to play that solidly twice in a row? Does Bailey Zappi, play a flawless football again against the Lions, who clearly can score? Can the Patriots score as many points as the Lions? Lions, as I'm sure a lot of you have already heard, scored the most points in the league through 4 weeks and are just 1-3. I think the Lions win this game. I think they win this game outright. And right now, you are getting 2.5 points. Now, 2.5 with this game seems like a line that'll probably stick. I could see it going maybe a half point, one way or the other. If you can somehow buy the Lions or get the Lions at +3, I think that's a great bet. The Lions favored by 3, not a great bet. The Lions getting 3, awesome bet. The Lions play these close, ridiculous games, whether it's lower scoring or insane scoring, like a marathon like we just saw against the Seahawks, 48-45. They had a 38-35 game earlier in the year. And then their loss to the Vikings, they lost by 4 instead of 3. But if you can get the Lions +3 in almost any situation, I like it. I think Belichick's going to draw up something impressive for Zappi as long as he's starting again. I don't know how you go back to Brian Hoyer or why you would, or even if he's going to be eligible to play with that head injury. But, I think the Patriots are going to be fine, but the Lions, especially if I'm on Ross St. Brown, I think they can just outscore them. If the Lions can manage to put up 35 again on the Patriots, which is a big ask, but they've been scoring on everyone, good defenses included. I like the Lions to win this game outright, and I definitely like them with the points. Let me take a look at this game on BetMGM. So BetMGM also has this game. They have this game at +3, so they also have this game at the even number. So things have shifted a little bit since I made these notes late last night, and the Detroit Lions are +3 right now. It's going to cost you -115. Doesn't matter. I like the Lions to go in and beat the Patriots, but I would rather have the points. It's only +120. I would rather play that. Give me the security blanket a little bit because they are still the Lions, right? And going up against Bill Belichick. But Lions +3 probably at this point early on. Again, it's just Monday. Maybe my favorite play of the week, as long as Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back. Would we love to have DeAndre Swift back? Of course. I think he's probably going to end up sitting out until after their bye week in week 6. Jamal Williams has been taking care of business. I don't think they lose or become that much worse. They just scored 48 points or 45 points without DeAndre Swift. So as long as Amon-Ra St. Brown is back, I like the Lions to go into Foxborough and win and get their second win of the season. Luke says the Packers don't cover. I don't think they cover either, but who knows? Anything could happen over in London. Definitely like the Lions significantly more than the Packers this week. Buffalo Bills at the Steelers. This is a weird one. I think the Steelers can cover 14. the Bills, I mean, 14 points is a ton, and the Bills have played good teams already, very good teams already in the Dolphins and the Rams and the Ravens. They also played the Titans, who they demolished, but they've played some really good teams already, and they've played great football. They were able to whomp the Rams, whomp the Titans, close game against the Dolphins, and then you have a great comeback against the Ravens. But 14 points is a ton. Hopefully, they're going to come up with a strong game plan against Kenny Pickett. This could easily be a rout of the Steelers at home. Steelers are not a very good team. Rout of Steelers at home for the Bills, I should say. But I initially think that this line at 14 is either a stay away or a Steelers line. But I don't think that's going to move that much either. Maybe 14 and a half even if you can get the favorable hook somewhere. But this is not a line I'm running to bet on. This is a game that I definitely, I probably won't bet on in the first place, but I definitely am waiting and seeing what happens throughout the week. So nothing real important to talk about here on Monday as far as this game goes. It's an even 14 right now on BetMGM. Miami Dolphins -3.5 against the New York Jets. I don't have a ton of strong thoughts here either. The Jets obviously found a way to come back and get it done. Zach Wilson looked better than I thought he was going to, but not great. I don't know what the status of Tua is right now. Nothing important as far as early line betting with the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets. The Atlanta Falcons against the Buccaneers. I think that this is a game that the Falcons can cover. You're getting 8 right now. Probably not a ton of line movement coming. The Buccaneers 2-2, obviously coming off of very competitive, very fun game last night. They spot the Chiefs 7 right away. Without that touchdown, that opening touchdown, it's a 3-point game. Maybe it's a stupid bet or a sucker bet for to back the Falcons. Again, it's one I'm probably going to think about and study all week. But right now, you're getting 8 points. I don't think that there's any reason you got to lock that in on a Monday. The Seattle Seahawks against the New Orleans Saints. I like New Orleans to be one of the better teams in the NFC. Not a top-notch team, probably a wild card team in competition to win that division. That's just not who the Saints are right now. Andy Dalton looked okay. Again, another fun game they put on a show for the people of London. But the Seattle Seahawks are making it hard to deny what they're doing right now, and they're getting 5.5 points. 5.5 points is a lot against a New Orleans Saints team who I think is only 1-3 against the spread. Geno Smith obviously looks like a world beater. Now he could fall off the cliff, at any point. I do think that if you like the Seahawks, you should probably take this line now. I don't imagine the Seahawks it moving in their favor. Like you're not going to end up getting 6 or 6.5 in this game. That's just not going to happen. Wouldn't make sense. And I think money might come in on Seattle at some point. Maybe not sharp money, but definitely public money. I think going to come in at Seattle. 5.5 just looks like a lot. And this line could move down to an even 5 somewhere in that area. If you like the Seahawks, you probably can save yourself about 0.5 point if you get on them right now. X the Bean X says, "What's your thoughts on Florida Mayhem? Just in general, it didn't seem to affect anything in Tampa Bay really. I don't know the status of the other stadiums. I can't really speak to that or anything. But obviously, it's very unfortunate, horrible. I'm glad I live in Wisconsin, never have to deal with a hurricane. We get the occasional tornado, but that's absolutely nothing compared to water damage and hurricanes in general." What position you play? Act by Prickly Dominus. I played hockey. I played goalie my whole life. I also golf a ton, and I pitched when I was younger playing baseball. That's pretty much my whole rundown in my sports career, but I mainly played goalie. Thanks for the questions. If you guys have anything regarding gambling, definitely let me know. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Luke also says big Aaron Jones game coming. I hope so. Let's get back to where we were here. Let's see. So the next game on the slate is the Texans versus the Jags, which we opened talking about. Again, I think the Jags right now at -7 is probably as favorable as that line's going to get. nobody's rushing to back Davis Mills and to back the winless Texans right now, especially against the red hot Jags, who just ran into one of the best teams. I like the Eagles a lot. I think the Eagles are better than the Packers right now. That was a debate that I heard on the radio earlier. Who are the Eagles beneath right now in the NFC? I think they're better than the Packers. I think they would beat the Packers if they played right now. Just honestly, I think they would. So the Jags obviously run into a monsoon as far as weather against Philadelphia, and 5 turnovers just isn't going to happen again either. I like the Jags in an even 7, just to reiterate. So go place that now because that's the most favorable the line's going to get. Wouldn't be surprised to see it settle at -9, 7.5, -8 later in the week. Commanders and Titans we already talked about as well. I can't back the Commanders anymore. It was do or die for me with them against the Cooper Rush Dallas Cowboys, and they lost by 12. No chance I'm putting the money on any money on the Commanders. And the Titans are a confusing team to figure out, but to only have to cover 2.5. If I'm on that game right now, I'm on the Titans, and I don't know how the line doesn't move to at least an even 3 here pretty soon. So if you like the Titans, that's another one to keep an eye on right now. The Vikings against the Bears, NFC North, 7-point favorites. Probably no major line movement here. These lines are usually pretty well set when it comes to division rivals and teams that just know each other so well. I don't think there's going to be any major movement there. Vikings to cover 7, though, I definitely don't love even against the Bears. The Chargers against the Browns. Which team is the real Browns team? Was it the Browns team that we saw the first couple of weeks? How good is Jacoby Brissett lumbering his way through, pump faking, juking out defenders? You beat the Falcons by 3, which the Falcons are not that bad at all. You take care of the Steelers, who are pretty bad. You lost to the Jets in that crazy comeback, and then you take care of the Panthers, who are pretty bad. Who are the Browns right now? I really don't know. I think they're still trying to figure it out. Whereas the Chargers, I think they know who they are. I know who they know who they were supposed to be, and I think they finally are maybe starting to trend towards being that team. They got to play the Jags and the Texans the last 2 weeks. I think this will be a tough test against the Browns. They already had games against the Raiders and the Chiefs in their back pockets, so they've played some tough division games as well. The Chargers are just never a team that covers as favorites. Like they just almost never do. They did last week, obviously, or just yesterday against the Texans. But 3 points probably not going to move significantly. I would think maybe even it moves in favor of the Browns. Maybe later this week you can get the Chargers at -2.5, something like that. No reason to lock in a Chargers bet right now. But if you like the Browns, maybe that you do take the even 3 right now because money could come in and that line definitely could move in favor of the Browns. Seems like Justin Herbert's a little bit healthier now. Seems like everything's all good, but you never know on that front. So if you like the Browns, maybe hop in right now. 49ers -5 against the Panthers. We haven't even seen the 49ers play tonight. So you're kind of taking a risk here. If the 49ers completely lay an egg, maybe that line comes down a little bit and they only have to cover 3.5, 4.5 points, somewhere in there. But on the other hand, if they come out and they beat, especially if they beat them handily, but if they beat the Rams at all tonight, I don't think it's crazy to think that line could move to 6.5, maybe 7. I mean, the Panthers can't score right now. Panthers are pretty bad. Excuse me. They just can't score. And if the Niners tonight prove that they can score, if they go in and play some sort of shootout game against Los Angeles, which definitely isn't out of the realm of possibility, I could see this line moving 1.5, 2 points. So it's a gamble right now because if you take the 49ers right now and then they lay an egg and it's a stinker and then the line drops, but it's a gamble. I think even at this number right now, I initially like the 49ers to cover. The Panthers just can't score, and it's as simple as that. You got to wonder how long Baker Mayfield lasts, how long Matt Rule lasts, if there's any reason or if they go to the backup. I don't even know if they still have PJ Walker. I'm not even 100% sure who their backup is. I suppose I could look right now if I look on the roster here. So behind Baker Mayfield, We've got Sam Darnold, obviously, who's on IR. They did draft Matt Corral, who's on IR, and they have ankle and foot injuries, respectively. Jacob Eason and PJ Walker both there. So we'll see how long Baker survives with only scoring 13, 16 points a game, whatever it is. I got the number exactly right here, actually. They score 19.5 points on offense. It doesn't feel like that much. It feels like they score less. That's 18th in the league, but I think 49ers -5 is a bet that you got to follow your gut on, because that line is going to move. I'll tell you that much. I think that line's going to move. Which direction, I'm not sure. That's the gamble. But I think that line's going to move. Excuse me. The Cowboys and the Rams are -4.5. Again, if they come out and get beat up by the Niners, maybe not that much stock is put into it, because the Niners have played them so well in the recent past. Sean McVay has been absolutely owned by Kyle Shanahan. And the Cowboys, they have to regress at some point, right? Like, Cooper Rush has to look like the guy that everybody thought Cooper Rush was going to be a couple weeks ago at some point. But the Cowboys getting 4.5, especially with the defense, I think this is a line that might move as well. So if you like either of these games, either side on either of these games involving the Rams or the 49ers, maybe you bet them right now. But I would rather personally see how the game plays out tonight, reassess the teams from there, and then maybe immediately, once you see what you have to see tonight from these teams, then you go kind of try and take advantage of a line. But it's tough for me to bet on next week's game on a team that hasn't even played this week. Also, nobody ever wants to see injuries or anything like that. But what happens if somebody major goes down? All of a sudden you locked in the 49ers -5, and they're without, X player, or the Rams -4.5. Now Matthew Stafford goes down, or Cooper Kupp, or whatever. So that's always tough. But the next game I want to talk about is a game that I would love to lock in right now. I will lock in early. It's Eagles at the Cardinals. The Cardinals have had the they've been beneficiaries of playing subpar teams that don't know how to close out games and can't score in need point situations, i.e. the Raiders, and just yesterday against the aforementioned Carolina Panthers. I don't think that the Cardinals will I don't think that they're good right now. I don't think that they can score points at the level that we've seen them score points at for the past 2 or 3 years, especially early on in the season. I think the Eagles are good. They're very good. They're 3-1, I believe, against the spread. There's no reason to go away from them right now. The Eagles can go to Arizona and win the game for sure. Will they win by 5 or more? I think so. The Cardinals have been living off these late comebacks where their opponents stall out, and then they're able to put pieces together at the end and score just enough points needed. Obviously, yesterday was a little different with the pick six or near pick six that was thrown by Baker Mayfield, but I think the Eagles defense is better, maybe the best defense that the Cardinals have faced so far. And the Eagles are for real. Eagles are able to score consistently throughout the game. The Cardinals are not. I like the Eagles -5 here. I think that money will come in on the Eagles, maybe sharp money on the Cardinals, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't think there's any reason to go away from the Eagles right now, and they only have to cover 5. 5's a weird number, of course. You talk about those key numbers in football. 5's a little bit of a weird number. I don't think it's going to be a field goal game, and if they don't win by a field goal, I think they're going to win by a touchdown, and you get a 2-point cushion there. All you need is 5. And I think they're going to win by, maybe 6 or 7, barring a 2-point conversion that's attempted and missed, maybe, or a missed extra point or whatever. But that's also nice, because sometimes when you have those 6.5 lines, what ends up happening is you do get screwed by, a team that has to go for a 2-point conversion, and they end up covering by a hook by either making or missing it, or whatever the case is. If you can get it at 5, that gives you a full 2-point cushion. So hopefully a missed extra point or a 2-point conversion isn't going to affect you as the bettor. I like the Eagles -5. I would lock it in now. And I also think A.J. Brown scores, because his dad superpower scoring week got robbed from he did get in the end zone, and then They called, I believe, a penalty on Dallas Goedert, if I remember correctly, but I think A.J. Brown scores this weekend to make up for the touchdown that he was robbed of last weekend. And then we moved to prime time. Cincinnati Bengals getting 3 points against the Ravens. You just can't trust the Ravens with a lead right now. And if you have a team like the Bengals who's trying to figure out who they are, they're scratching and clawing, and work their way back to 2-2. Do I think the Ravens win this game? Quite possibly. Do I think it's on a last-minute field goal either way between Justin Tucker and Evan McPherson? Yeah, very much so. I think this is going to be a field goal game in prime time. That's why I like the plus sign here. Obviously, you could push either way. If you take the even 3, maybe you buy the half point with the Bengals just if you want to avoid the push. I personally I'm fine with a push. If you give me an even number, I'm not going to pay more just to potentially win that bet. I always like a push. I always like a chance at a push. Now, if the opposite was true, if the Bengals end up getting 2.5 when this line closes, I might consider the 3 there because I just think 2 of the best kickers in the game. And with the games that the Ravens have played lately and the late comebacks and the close scores that we've seen, I definitely want at least a full 3 on this game. And that's what you're getting right now with the Bengals. I don't think it's crazy to say this game might close at 2.5, or it could go to 3.5. It could move a half point either way. I would take it right now, whichever side you're on, because if you're on the Ravens and it moves to 3.5, that hook definitely could cost you. And if you're on the Bengals, you're going to want that even 3 instead of if the line moves the opposite way, you're only getting 2.5, and then you got to pay more for that 3. So definitely hop on the Bengals or the Ravens right now at even 3 if you particularly like a side there. And then we will round out with the Chiefs hosting the Raiders. The Chiefs only favored by 7 points. Look, I get it. I get that it's a division game. I get that the Chiefs can't blow everybody out. You know, the Raiders are a desperate team. They need this game. The Chiefs usually may drop a game that they shouldn't have dropped. I don't care. Give me the Chiefs right now at -7. I feel like this spread should be a little longer than that. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets longer than that. Give me the Chiefs -7. If they win this game, it's going to be at least by a touchdown. Or when they win this game, it's going to be at least by a touchdown. I don't see why in the world people would be betting against the Chiefs on the Raiders. So you're probably not going to get a more favorable line than -7. So there you have it. Just some first looks at different lines. I'm not in love with the Chiefs -7, but I think it's going to end up probably being a good bet. And I think the public is going to end up backing the Chiefs anyway. But the longer you wait, the worse the number is going to get. So if you're going to follow the public, if you're going to back the Chiefs, you might as well do it early. I think I like the Bengals +3 quite a bit, but the lines that I really like and that I'm going to be locking in here early, Philadelphia Eagles -5. That line's only going to get less beneficial for Eagles bettors. If you're on the Cardinals, maybe you want to wait until later in the week. You might be able to afford yourself an extra point or so. Wouldn't be surprised to see that line close at 6. I like the Eagles -5. I also like the Jags -7 and even 7. It's not going to close at even 7. I'm telling you, it's not going to close at even 7. So take it right now if you like the Jags. Again, if you're on the opposite side, Houston, it's probably a line that you should wait and see. But I like the Jags a lot. And then my other pick for sure is the Lions, getting 2.5 right now. Getting 3 on BetMGM. I don't think that. I just don't think the line's moving any further away from them. I don't think you're going to get 3.5, 4. So I would take the even 3 right now. Everything that I just explained a second ago about the chance at a push and a 3-point game between the Bengals and the Ravens, I think all of that could apply to the Lions and the Patriots as well. The Lions play more 3-point games, I think, than anybody else in history, but they're going to be able to score in that game. The fact that they're getting points, I love it. Being able to add 3 points to everything they put on the scoreboard, prime opportunity for the Lions. So those are the 3 picks that I really like. But another line I think is going to see a lot of movement or potential big movement is Seahawks and Saints. I think that line's going to move away from 5.5. So there you have it. Our very first Monday gambling stream. first look at some lines. Appreciate the little bit of interaction. Hopefully going to keep growing this, and hopefully going to get even more interaction. If anybody sees this on replay and you're like, oh boy, I can't watch the stream during the workday, but I got some questions or some thoughts or whatever, you can tweet at me right here, Sunholes on Sport, or you can always tweet at the main account at Flurry Sports. And if there's requests to move this either earlier morning or later in the evening or whatever, I will definitely do that as well. I just do a lot of writing, and I do podcast stuff for the hockey team I work for on Mondays. So I figured it's just a good time for me to kind of hop on midday, but I will work my schedule around whatever is best for most fans. So thank you to those of you who tossed something in the chat. Hopefully we win some money, and yeah, I guess that's all I got for you. This has been the opening week NFL odds and betting line stream presented by BetOnline and BetMGM. I'm Jake Senholes, and I will talk to you on Thursday for Start Sit.